Hello and welcome back to Journey with Rebecca. I'm Rebecca, and today I wanted to show you a little bit about what goes into preparing and just taking care of the food that I get to bring home from my job at the farm in the CSA. I've mentioned before that I work on a farm in a CSA, and CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So basically, what I do is sort the food and pack the boxes for our CSA customers. And the past 2 weeks have been all about cherries. So I sorted cherries for the past 2 weeks, and the ones that have imperfections or just aren't good enough to give to our customers, we do have the option to bring home, or they would otherwise get composted. So I ended up coming home with 10 quarts of cherries last week. Once I got them all home, I had to figure out what I was going to do with all of these cherries. But I knew first thing I needed to do was get them pitted. And I looked up different techniques of how to easily pit a cherry. And honestly, some of them seemed like more trouble than they were worth. So I just cut the cherries in half and picked the pit out. One word of advice though, I would wear gloves if you're going to do something like this. My hands were stained for several days after I went through and pitted and sliced all 10 quarts of cherries. I feel extremely lucky to be able to bring home this food that would otherwise be composted, and I feel this weird sort of obligation to bring things like this home. So while the 10 quarts of cherries that I brought home to repurpose and save from the compost was only a very small fraction of what actually did go into the compost, but I feel like I'm doing my part to save things that are otherwise good, minus a few imperfections, and make it into something that will ultimately feed my family. So while I am putting in the work of coming home after a very long day and pitting 10 quarts of cherries, which is honestly the last thing that I want to do when I get home from a long day, um, it feels really rewarding to me to be able to repurpose these and actually make something out of them. I decided to make several different recipes with the cherries that I brought home, just so I had a variety of things. So one of the first things I did was make a healthy cherry crumble, which is healthy in the way that it doesn't have any extra added sugar in it, and it really could be used as a dessert if you paired it with something sweet like an ice cream or a whipped cream, or you could use it as a breakfast because it's kind of like an oatmeal-y thing. I ended up using it as lunch, and it was my lunch for, it got me through 6 days of lunch. So that was great, and it was healthy and just sweet enough when paired with some yogurt. I also made some fresh cherry muffins, which were also delicious, and those I popped right into the freezer so I can have those whenever I want them. And then I also made some scones, which I also popped those into the freezer as well. So I have enough scones and muffins to have a month's worth of snacks if I just ate one of them a day, which typically that is something that I would bring with my lunch. So I don't have to worry about any of that now for another month. I can just pop them out of the freezer when I want them and they're ready to go. I did throw 2 baking sheet trays of cherries into the freezer, and I froze them individually so then they could just go into Ziploc bags. And I have them in the freezer now for whenever I want to use cherries again. And then the last thing I did with them was dehydrate them, which if you've never had a dehydrated cherry, they're very good, and I will be using these to throw into my next batch of granola. I make my own homemade granola, and typically I put in cranberries and raisins, but I thought cherries would be a really great addition. So I gotta be honest, I am all cherried out, and if I don't see another cherry again for a while, I will be very happy about that. But it feels really good to be able to save some of this food and bring it home and create an abundance really for my family that we otherwise wouldn't have had. And this year I'm just looking forward to doing more different things than I did last year with the food I was able to bring home from the CSA. And honestly, I don't even think I brought cherries home last year. So I'm looking forward to getting my creative juices flowing and creating and making new things. I did just bring home kohlrabi, which if you've never seen kohlrabi or know what it is, this is kohlrabi. It's kind of like a root vegetable. I had never had it before. We had it in the CSA boxes last year, and I was like, nope, I'm good. I don't need any of that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it this year. And I brought it home, and I sauteed it up with some vegetables, and it was really, really good. So I'm just looking forward to trying new things, preserving food in new, different, and interesting ways. And I hope you enjoy seeing what I come up with next. So as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I will see you soon.